Is homeschooling more effective than public schools? As parents, we look at the best ways to aid our child's development and growth to their educational journey. The most common way is to send your child to a learning institution. Another way of nurturing the mind of children is homeschooling. While homeschooling and traditional public school environments have many similarities, there are some clear advantages and disadvantages with either choice. And we're going to go into the details of the advantages and disadvantages of homeschooling and the advantages and disadvantages of going to public schools. First, let's go through some of the advantages of homeschooling. Children are able to receive more effective learning. Even though the parents have made the choice of homeschooling, they do have the support of online teachers that support them one-on-one tutoring, and they also benefit from having a smaller classroom size with direct attention on their individualized education. Also, the child can have time flexibility during their work. They can focus better on their assignments, which would allow them for more time for critical thinking when they can work at their own pace. Also, the lack of dealing with the violence and advantage when the student does not have to deal with bullying and the possibilities of school massacres. School shootings are increasing in the past 10 years. In the past 10 years, we've had about 180 school shootings and about 356 victims told by CNN. Next, let's talk about the disadvantages of homeschooling. Some of the disadvantages of homeschooling is time. Some parents have to commit full-time work to teaching students. Some are part-time workers or full-time workers and still have to find a way to incorporate teaching their child at school. That could be very demanding on a parent. At times also, costs can be effective. Curriculum costs are very high. Learning materials, project materials, and field trips can also be a very high financing charge against parents. And that also is a disadvantage of homeschooling. The biggest concern is socializations. For the children not to be able to have interactions with other students or other friends or people in the community. How does that affect them? How does that affect their social development? Is it positive? Is it negative? And then also, when children are at home, could there be hidden abuse? I recall a story about a parent who actually disenrolled her students in school because her husband had passed away, and when she did not have that strong backbone in the house, she thought she could actually homeschool her kids, but in fact, she killed her children. And CFSA then had to get involved, and the school had to show some kind of responsibility of who was following up with these children. Those were true disadvantages of being homeschooled. Some of the advantages of teaching, or actually of being in public schools, is the fact that a school has a built-in structure. They already have a set curriculum, routines in place, and consistency that could help a lot of students who do not have that at home. Also, the advantage of public schooling is children's benefiting with having electives, sports activities, arts, or music. Another advantage is that teachers are able to recognize disabilities within children. If a child needs a speech therapist or if a child needs special education, those are, again, also advantages of having your child in a public school. Some disadvantages of having your child in a public school is that they can deal with the anxiety of testing and anxiety of peer pressure from their friends, and also bullying. When schools take the much more initiative with teaching to pass tests to make the school look good, then that becomes a disadvantage to our students. So, in conclusion, I would like for parents to understand that the choice is always theirs. That when you choose to homeschool, there are going to be some disadvantages and some advantages. But when you decide to send your child to public schools, there will be also disadvantages and advantages. But the question is really up to you on where do you want to, or how do you want to build a lifelong learner through your child. The National Home Educational Research Institute has reported that there are 2.3 million students being homeschooled, but yet there are 50.8 students in public schools or private schools. And the question is with the advantages and disadvantages that I've named, what do you think will be more effective for your child? Which one will be more effective for your child? Again, parents, the initial and the last thoughts for your child is truly up to you. Good luck.